Hello, I'm Lewis. She's Val, and we're going to take you back through the figments of time today to some cast interactions we've had that we've loved. We had a lot more cast interactions in this. I think all of them good. Well, not all of them. Okay, there's been a couple of so-so times, right? I guess we won't talk about those tonight, but not too many.
Considering how many times we've been to the parks, cast members always make our days so special. And true, these are just a very few number of the times that they've made our day a little extra special.
And I would say the bad times are pretty excusable when you realize how horrifying people treat cast members when they want something, and how horrifying they'll treat you when they need something. We'll go to that one someday. We'll talk about the humorous encounters we've had with people in the parks. But then we're going to talk about some magical moments that we've had. I think that's where we're going to start. Any other comments before we delve into the pictures?
Excited still to be back, and it's always fun to see our intro that was done by our sweet friend. That's just a neat way to start each episode. It's fun.
And I will put up his name on the screen. I don't have it. I didn't have it prepared. Lee from Great Britain is. All right. So the first place we're going to go is to.
Love that picture.
Oh, right. I really like, for some reason. I have no idea why.
You really do. You love this ride so much more than I would think from my thrill ride loving husband, who tends to make fun of dark rides on occasion. You really do love this one.
Part of it is I really want to get some good pictures inside. We're not going to go into that today, but dark rides are hard for me. I'm not the best photographer in the world. I cheat a lot. I can take good pictures like this. I mean, I credit the iPhone a lot for the pictures I take, because they really the processor there really takes a picture and processes it wonderfully and brings out the natural beauty of the site. But when you get in the darkness, if you're perfectly still, it is an amazing job. You get inside, it's like whoop, doesn't matter. But we're going to talk more about the outside this time. And there's a feature in the queue that is really interesting based on what used to be here. Something I never saw. We have no pictures of. Val has a memory of.
It is a really cool. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was one of my biggest memories from visiting the park early on, and I loved that attraction and thought that it was amazing and so much fun. And so I really missed it when we started going to Walt Disney World as a family. I really missed being able to share that attraction with you and with our daughter. And so I always talked about it whenever we were sort of around that area in Fantasyland. I would kind of bring up, there was this really cool attraction in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and I would try to describe it. And when they were building the Little Mermaid attraction, I had read somewhere that they were placing a hidden Mickey in the queue as sort of an homage to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And so I knew that there was a sculpture of the Nautilus somewhere in the queue. And as we were riding it over and over again in the early times when it opened, I would scour the queue because I wanted to find it myself. I really just wanted to run across it. And so I would always try to take time. One thing about this queue, though, too, is even when it's really busy, the queue doesn't usually extend outside of the building very often. And so I would be going really slowly through the queue, trying to find it. And Lewis and Chrissy both would be kind of rushing through the queue because they wanted to get, out of the sun and into the cooler air and ready to ride the attraction. And so it was hard for me to try to find this hidden Mickey. And so finally I gave in and I asked one of the cast members at the entrance if she could show me where the Nautilus was hidden because I really wanted to see it. And at this point, it had been a while that I had been looking for it. And that's one of the things that's really interesting is that if you are curious if there's any hidden Mickeys or any special things about an attraction, you can always ask the cast member. And I will be super honest. Sometimes cast members don't know what you're talking about. There was a hidden Mickey that I looked for on the Great Movie Ride forever. And every time I would ask a cast member, they would be like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. And finally, I ran across a cast member that could show me where that one was, when that was a hard one for me to find too. And so always ask a cast member. And if one doesn't know, then maybe at the next trip or the next time through, ask somebody, because usually they will be able to tell you interesting things to look for and hidden Mickeys and all of that kind of thing. So this very sweet cast member was able to get, I mean, she just looked over at the person she was working with and said, I'll be right back. And she walked us straight back to where the Nautilus is carved.
Most of the time, let's just say, when Val wants to know something, she'll have already known so much about it that the cast member goes, can I help you? You go, I know more than you.
No.
The Ron Swanson line. It's like, I know more than you. Just leave me alone.
No.
It's not like that, but that's what she should be thinking, is that I can tell you more about this attraction than you could.
Sometimes I know more than cast members know, just because, you know, they may work at another attraction normally and they may just be filling in, or they may be new, or there's like a billion reasons why sometimes they're not quite as informed as this nerd that tends to read everything I can about attractions and things. And I'm sorry, that was just a very strange noise outside my window. But she walked me straight back and took me immediately to where the Nautilus is. And I was both mad at myself for not knowing where it was, and also a little bit relieved that it is so hard to find that on a normal visit, you might not just run across it, because it was really hard to find. It's kind of, after you make that curve, you have to kind of go back around, and you have to look down, and you really honestly kind of have to really know what you're looking for. If you're not familiar with the Nautilus, you're not going to notice it at all. But if you are familiar with the Nautilus and you see it, you're going to say, oh, look at that neat little hidden Mickey that they added as a tribute to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
These pictures also demonstrate the fact that I'm always, I used to be even more, always like 50 steps behind everybody.
Yes.
Who would then stop and go, oh wait, we need to wait for you. They would wait for me, and then they would take off again. I'll be like, hold on, wait for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we moved along. We're walking through the queue. I do like that when they just walk you to the place.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert: we're going to show you the hidden Mickey and point it out.
If you don't want to know where it is, don't look
detail.
at the next picture. If you are interested in it, though, you can sort of see where it is when you look in this photo. Because if you're not seeing this picture, or if you can't quite tell, it's in this area of rock. There's some water in between these rocks, and at the very bottom of that center piece is where the Nautilus is carved into that stone. And so it's sort of it's not too far before you arrive at the entrance to the building for the queue. But you do have to kind of go around a big curve and past a little waterfall and around, and then it's at the bottom of this little area where the rock is. And so you can see the circle for the porthole in the Nautilus and the detail of it there.
And I'd lost these pictures. I had no idea where they were at. It took me forever to find them again. I've been recently cataloging all of our pictures and trying to catch up.
Which is the issue that comes from the fact that he takes thousands of pictures on every visit. And then we try to find specific pictures for our Twitter feed or for Instagram or for a blog that I'm writing. And we can't find the pictures because we are literally going through thousands of pictures trying to find something specific.
And you know what? I'm mad at myself for not doing that in the original days. I have so many things I like. If I could just have a slightly better picture than that. I posted a picture today of the sorcerer's hat. I'll put it up here in just a second. But that I really wish I had been able to just wait like another 10 minutes and got the people out of the way because I had to edit it and pull some people out because it's like, here's this pretty sorcerer hat and there's two people walking down the street. And I took 3 pictures and they all had people in them. And I don't mind some people, because like you're in a queue, there's people. They know what they're getting into, but I wanted a picture of this thing and it's so pretty looking.
Well, and that's the thing for us originally when we first started going and we were taking these pictures, we wanted them for screensavers. We weren't posting them to Twitter at that point. And so we were wanting pictures without people of just icons and different things and attractions so that we could use them as screensavers, because you don't want to be looking at a picture with a bunch of people you don't know if you don't have to.
I do also wish I had taken a few more pictures of people. Not as many as most people do. I mean, most people here's a picture of me in front of a rock. It would help only for one reason. It's not because I want to look at what we looked like back in the day. I'll eventually break down and do one of those, and you'll see the shrinking, expanding people that we have been in the past. But there's a couple of years early that I can't determine what year the picture was taken.
Yeah.
Because I don't know exactly, because they're scanned or they came off as CD, or we took forever to get things developed back then because it's the camera. It's not digital. We didn't have Dropbox. I can't go back into my archives of Dropbox and see where I'd deleted or renamed files.
No, we're old.
But what's funny is I had to do this very same hunt on my trip back in September of last year, and it was really hard to find because I was trying to find this picture. And the cast member didn't go down and take me there. She just described, go down there and look for it. And I looked for a long time until I finally saw it, because I expected something else. This is very subtle. This is one of the more subtle hidden things you can find.
Yeah.
It is a cool ride. They have it at Disneyland. I mean, it's Nemo now, and there's, instead of swimmers,
20,000 leagues. 20,000 leagues under the sea is what he's talking about.
Yes.
That they do have at Disneyland, but they've rethemed it, which it's a neat theme. But the attraction vehicles aren't, to me, as cool as they were when it was 20,000 leagues under the sea, and I miss some of those little things that I remember.
To be fair, I think we've shown a picture on our podcast, on our vlog in the past. And part of the thing is that you were much, much younger then. And some of the things that used to be cool are not as cool anymore. We tried to watch HR Puffin stuff. And we're like, we watched this? Seriously? Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, and when we tried to rewatch it, I could not believe that it was so sad.
How on earth was this entertaining?
Again, that's one of the things I just said this recently. It makes me sad for our kids, our grandkids, in a way, because when we show them these things that we love, because they were so amazing to us as kids, to see Pepper's ghost effect in the Haunted Mansion, and these little effects of the little things, the animatronics and things that were so amazing to us, for our grandkids, because everything's digital now, they kind of don't process those effects and things. And it makes me a little sad that they're not going to be amazed by special effects as much anymore, because just everything it's just all digital now. And so it's just like normal for them.
True. Although I think magicians and things that you can actually see with your eyes do have a special place beyond what you can see on film, right?
Yeah, they do.
I mean, even if you notice in the last Star Wars movies, however you feel about them, that some of the things they did with real stuff, you can tell because real stuff moves a certain way. They still haven't gotten the physics down. Okay. So that was the first thing we did we want to talk about. The next is a topic I know I brought up many, many times. And I don't have any pictures of that day per se, but it's the day I rode Everest a large number of times. And what was cool is the cast members would just, first off, you'd ride, like normal. You get there at the opening time and you ride a couple of times, and nobody notices you doing that. And this is before people like noticed me as much. Even now, they sometimes still recognize me from coming there. It's getting a lot less because cast members shuffle off for some reason. I don't know why they wouldn't want to work in the hot sun of Expedition Everest for forever, but and then after 5 or 10 times, cast members are like, "Hey, I see you again." And after about 20 or 30 times, they're like, "Why are you still here?" And you're like, "I don't know, but I gotta keep going. This is my..." No, I'm not going with that joke. And at events, eventually some of the cast members would help me. The first one, I can't remember his name, was Scottish guy. He was like the manager at the time. He moved on when I did it the second time. And I met a new cast member who helped me out. And they just gave me a couple passes, like, "Can I just let you on?" I was like, "Sure." Because you only use a single rider line. And sometimes when they would give you a fast pass, it would be, I wasted one or two one time when they gave me 2 or 3 fast passes, because single rider line is just so amazingly fast. It's better than fast pass in a lot of cases if you don't mind being split up. But the cast members always make things better. And there's one cast member I still see she moved over to Toy Story Land, and she occasionally will give us a ride on something, or so just say hi. It's really cool. Knowing these people and meeting them. I have a lot of Dollywood to know me too. They're like, "Hey, you're back." Well, try to show them my little pass. I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I guess just get on."
We learned it really early. I think the first attraction that we tried to do multiple times was Toy Story Midway Mania at the time when it first opened. And our goal back when you did the paper fast passes would be to try to ride it as many times in a day as we could, because we were trying to get the score. So we really wanted to ride it over and over and over again. And so we sort of had a method, of being there at rope drop, and we would try to ride it one time really fast and then try to pick up a fast pass, but ride it again before that fast pass was used, so that we could, and we kind of learned early with that one how to ride an attraction 8, 9, 10, 11 times in a row, as before once the line became more than an hour long, that was when we sort of said, okay, we're not going to keep trying to do this other than through fast passes. And so it was amazing back then, even how quickly we would be recognized by cast members, because we would come through multiple times in a row, and then we would come back through during the day with our fast passes. And so even just during those first few years of Toy Story, cast members would remember us from previous visits, even if it had been a year or two sometimes, because they would remember us from those multiple days.
So be kind to your cast members and don't ask.
Always be nice.
People who ask, you can see them rolling there like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, I was by myself, and this was back in September of last year, and Val had given me some missions. And one of the missions was to get hidden Mickeys. And she had a list of hidden Mickeys I needed to go find. And I think she had some vague knowledge that Winnie the Pooh had missions that you could do.
Yeah,
Winnie the Pooh and missions you could do.
To preface this, Winnie the Pooh is not one of our most visited attractions. I loved Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and so I have a lot of memories of that. And I just have never grown in an attraction. I don't love Winnie the Pooh as much as I loved Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And so we just tend to, unless we just happen to catch it with a really low wait time, we tend to skip Winnie the Pooh. Even as much as we love Winnie the Pooh, will skip this particular attraction.
And Winnie the Pooh is one of my favorite Disney characters, particularly the shows, the mild humor. I just love it for some reason. I've seen all the movies, all the good movies. I think there's a lot of them getting turned more kiddie. And if you could be more kiddie than the first Winnie the Pooh, you just got to realize Eeyore, all the characters, fantastic. But so I go up to the cast member, I'm like, is there a hidden Mickey in here somewhere? She's like, yeah, let me show you. And this is, it's COVID, it's busy in this particular area. We're like keeping away from people. And so she navigates around this tree and shows me, this isn't the one she's showing me particularly, but I see this one as well. And if you don't see the hidden Mickey, it is right here. And so you've got the classic Mickey ear pattern. And it was just really cool. She was like telling me stuff. I look here and I look here. And I'm looking all around. Still can't see it because it's a lot easier to see once you've actually seen it, right? And then she points out this one. And I never even realized there were so many hidden Mickeys like this. There's the one on Splash Mountain.
I love the side facing. There's the silhouettes of the side silhouette of Mickey is so fun.
Never ever would have noticed this in a million years of going to this place and looking for things. And I mean, she's right. I definitely don't spend a lot of time in the queues looking around hunting for things because you do want to get to the attraction, right? And I don't like standing. I'm not good at standing. I'm good at moving a lot better than I am standing. So yeah, just standing looking for stuff. It's a lot of my problems with taking pictures is I don't have the patience to sit and wait. As a friend of mine at Thrilling Moments on Twitter, Jack Lathrop, this guy just graduated high school and he's an amazing photographer and he does so many things, but he'll just sit and wait. Like if you have two roller coasters going side by side or in the same picture, he will sit and wait for a ridiculous amount of time until you see them both. So if one of them's going here, one of them's going here, he'll sit and wait forever. And I'm like, come on, man, seriously? Can you do that? I mean, I used to not have the patience to wait for the monorail. It's still hard to sit there and wait for the 10, 15 minutes when I can be on test track. And I'm going to sit here and wait for the monorail just so I can post Monday morning monorail pictures. I'm getting to that point. COVID actually changed my patterns the last couple of trips. I have actually sat around and looked at things more and paid more attention.
Well, and it's getting harder than it used to be for me, not because I'm not patient and not because I don't love to look for things in queues and around, but quite honestly, some days the parks are so crowded. It's really hard to find things. It's really hard to see those things because there's just a sea of people everywhere. And so it makes it a little bit harder than it was in the early days where you could kind of really spend a lot of time looking because there's just people everywhere now. But it's fun when you do find these little moments of, oh, look, that's a Mickey. And
I did. One thing I'm trying to do more of is take pictures of the cast members who help us. And this is, she was the one who helped me find the hidden Mickey. All right. And this last story that we're going to talk about is a story I don't remember much of at all.
It's one of my favorites.
I remember a moment in the beginning. I remember some of the things she says about the story. I don't know that
I remember every minute of it. I love it so much. It
doesn't seem right, but
I've told the story so many times. I love this story.
This was us on a morning called New Year's Eve at Hollywood Studios on one of my favorite attractions. It did not have such a terribly long queue going in and out for the 3 minutes worth of ride and 1 minute worth of roller coaster you get. And it's the Rock and Roller Coaster.
And the story actually starts at the turnstiles coming into the park. Yes. This happened during a year of a million dreams. And Walt Disney World was having a celebration. And so they were having these magical moments throughout the year that you could experience, and they were random and you didn't know when they were going to happen. Now, there were a few really big ones, like, a family every single night, a family would win a night in Cinderella's castle in the suite. And so that was like the big thing for the day, for a family to be chosen to spend that night in Cinderella's castle. And then there were a lot of other things that they were doing. But this was during A Year of a Million Dreams. And to understand the beginning of this story, you have to understand a rule that I had when we had a young child that we would take with us to a theme park. I had a small red backpack that was my Disney bag. And my general rule for everybody was that I would be glad to carry things for you for the day as long as it fits inside my bag. Or we can get a locker if we need to, because again, Lewis mentioned that this was New Year's Eve, so it was kind of cold, but it was warm during the day, so we would have jackets and things. So we would get a locker to put the jackets and things in. But I don't carry anything for you. I don't carry your bag. I don't carry your jacket. I don't carry your stuff. I will be glad if it fits in the bag. And so my daughter knew that rule. We lived by it every single trip. And occasionally we would bring friends or my niece or someone with us, so that, because Chrissy's an only child. And so we wanted her to have fun on the trips too with people her age. So sometimes we would bring people along with us. And my niece was with us on this particular trip. And so she very well knew the rule too. And so that was just the rule. So we go through the turnstiles. We're getting ready to go to rope drop. Our niece and daughter have decided that their goal for the morning is to be at rope drop and be one of the first on Rock and Roller Coaster. And so this was their goal. They were going to run and do the rope drop and try to be one of the first in line to do Rock and Roller Coaster. So we get through the turnstiles, we go through, we're coming up at the entrance, and all of a sudden the girls look at me, toss me their bags and their jackets, and start to take off to get to the front of the rope drop line. And I just sort of went into mom mode and I yelled, "Freeze," and asked the girls to come back in a very strong tone, where I was like, "Come back. You will get your bag. You will get your jacket. You will tell me if you want us to do a locker, but I am not carrying your stuff for you." And so I'm lecturing them, we've already talked about this. This is the rule, so everybody come back, get your things, So I was lecturing them pretty sternly. I wasn't screaming or being mean or using bad language or anything. I was just being very stern. Come back, get your things. I'm not carrying these for you. Well,
to be fair, you are using your bad language now, since you don't really have a bad language. I
don't really use bad language. But anyway, so while I'm being very stern, a cast member walks up and she asks if everything is okay. And so I'm like super embarrassed. And so I'm explaining to her, "I'm so sorry. The girls are really anxious to get to rope drop and they tossed me their things. And I was just trying to explain that I wasn't going to hold their items for them." And so she said, "Well, what attraction are they anxious to ride?" And I said, "Well, they're headed to Rock and Roller Coaster. So they're wanting to be first in line for Rock and Roller Coaster." And she said, "You realize that we're doing this thing this year called A Year of a Million Dreams?" And we were like, "Yeah, we've been seeing the signs. We've been hearing about it." And she said, "Follow me." And so we follow this cast member, and she takes us through the door that goes between the restrooms and where you rent the EVCs. Did I say that right? ECVs. I always say it backwards. I knew the minute I said it wrong. And she takes us through this door and takes us backstage. And she literally walks us straight backstage to the entrance of the Rock and Roller Coaster before rope drop. So this is before any of the people that are there to the park for the day have come down to the attraction. And we walk into an empty attraction. We walk through the little pre-show, and she takes us directly into the attraction. And she basically says, ride it as many times as you'd like. We'll hold everybody at this door until you're finished. And so Lewis and the girls start riding. I can't ride Rock and Roller Coaster because I have vertigo, so I can't flip upside down. So literally now I am holding everybody's things because they're all getting onto the Rock and Roller Coaster when no one is in the queue, no one is in the room. We are there completely alone. They ride the attraction. They ride the attraction again. I think they maybe rode it 3 or 4 times. I don't think anyone remembers
3,
exactly how many. Because honestly, what happens is you start to feel a little awkward because you're literally in this attraction all by yourself, and you know that there's a line of people on the other side of that door waiting to go in. And I think the girls got a little bit embarrassed, but I know that they rode at least 3 or 4 times. And so they just got to stay on and ride it over and over again. And because I couldn't ride, the cast member kind of came over to me and she was like, "You don't want to ride?" And I explained to her that I love attractions, but that I can't flip upside down. So she gets out her little book of fast passes. Back then, you got the paper fast passes out of the machine, and cast members would have these little pieces of paper fast passes that they could write for guests under special circumstances. And so she just wrote out maybe 6 or 7 fast passes for all of us and just handed me the stack and just said, you can use these for the rest of the day at any attraction that you'd like to ride on a fast pass, which was like gold. I mean, it was just the coolest thing ever for us to have this stack of fast passes to be able to take with us for the day. You can kind of see Lewis is taking a picture of me while I was taking a picture of them while they were waiting for the very first ride, I think.
That's actually our daughter taking a picture.
Oh, is it? I can't. I'm sorry.
That's me here.
The picture is kind of
I'm
very dark.
She's the person taking the picture.
Okay. Like I said, I can't see from where I'm looking to see it.
That's our niece.
Incredibly well.
And these are the people standing that I did not remember. I did not believe when she said that there were these people waiting. That didn't ring a bell at all.
Yeah, she said they were going to hold the people until we got to ride. So that was this is not my favorite magical moment from any time we've ever been. We'll tell that story another time.
It's on my list.
It's not my favorite because obviously I didn't get to ride, but it is on my favorite in that it was the biggest magical moment that we received during the Year of a Million Dreams. But it was also just to get those fast passes and just to have her be so kind and to do this for the girls. And so what was really funny was that for the rest of our trip that week, our niece and our daughter would constantly look at me and say, "Yell at us, yell at us for something. Maybe a cast member will be nice to us and give us another surprise." And so they were constantly goading me to try to get me to yell at them so that in front of cast members so that they would do something special for us. And so it was just really funny, but it was a very special moment and it was a lot of fun. And it was just a neat magical moment.
See, my memory of this is this.
That's me holding everybody's bags while they're riding the ride.
That's one of my first decent cameras. I took some really interesting pictures with that. Not very good at the parks, to say the least.
Well, and I'm terrible at taking pictures, so I'm sure that, I didn't use it often.
And you'll notice I did a lot of prep here. You still have the demon eyes going on. And here was the last picture we have. And it's just of us riding.
Yeah.
I love that ride. It was one of the first rides I realized I could ride roller coasters like this. And I was like, yes, bring it on. And she's never even tried. She says it would kill her, but.
Well, no, he's exaggerating. I don't think that it would kill me. It would ruin the day though, because
Oh,
I
yeah.
know what would happen if I did because I've experienced it before. That's a story for another day.
Yes, for
But
sure. We have to tell that story.
we have a few Val with vertigo because she gets excited and wants to ride things that she shouldn't. But stories. But yes, it would not kill me, but it would ruin the rest of the day. And he's tried to talk me into doing it at night before because I would be leaving. But even getting me to the hotel is not an easy thing when it hits really hard. So it's a little more complicated than he thinks.
It is not more complicated than I think. I completely understand. I mean, I don't know what I would do. I've had that discussion with myself. You know, what will I do if I ever get to that point? And I occasionally will ride a roller coaster a couple of times, and I'll have the eye thing go on, which always scared me because my dad had, a lazy eye. But sometimes your eyes will go cross, and you'll like, I can't see, I'm okay. Let's go again.
Yeah, that's not what happens. So.
But yeah, I know. I've seen it, and it's unpleasant. Don't pick on people who have medical reasons that they can't do things. If they're just chicken.
No, don't ever pick on anybody for not feeling comfortable in an attraction.
Courage.
The whole point is for it to be fun. So don't pick on them.
Now we know come on. We do encourage our youngest grandchild to ride things she's frightened
and
of.
I have been known to encourage
reason.
strangers on Tower of Terror that want to get off, and I do encourage people to try to do things outside of their comfort zone. But if they are really, really scared of something, I understand how that feels, and it's not fun. And so we never force our grandkids on attractions if they don't want to go, or I don't ever try to talk anybody into it if I can tell they really don't want to do it.
There was this younger girl in Tower of Terror. I think it was our last trip. Was it December?
It was no. I think it was 1,000
years ago.
It was before COVID because we were not wearing masks,
and we were like, everybody was.
You could tell she wanted to, but she didn't, and she couldn't decide. So she kept changing her mind. Like she was like, okay. Then she sat down, and then she was like, wait, no, I can't do this. Wait, yeah, wait, I want to. Wait, no, I can't. And so it was that kind of situation. So it wasn't like she was terrified and people were forcing her into the chair. She stood up, and I was like, oh, wait, I promise you it's a lot of fun. And so if you're not sure, I understand, but I think you should. So then the whole elevator started saying, please stay, and clapping for her. And so she did. And she loved it. She got off saying, okay, I'm so glad I did this. That was amazing. She was like, but you could tell that it wasn't she was terrified. It was, I just don't know if I want to do this or not. So it was fun to make her feel better about it and to encourage her. It was a fun.
I understood because Tower of Terror was the last ride I rode. It was the last of the thrill rides. I was like, I don't know about this. This sounds scary. And then, I finally did. And I was like, this is what I was scared of. But the thing I was going to say was I'm always concerned that person you've convinced then just like throws up the food they've eaten for the last 2 weeks.
Well, and like I said,
you and goes, you suggested this.
Okay, now you've pushed it a little too far.
I can't fight it. You are correct. No, and it's especially bad with a grandkid. No. You are afraid that you'll get sick, and you'll be like,
well, and that was that's a good example that our youngest wanted to ride it her second visit with us. And so because she really does want to do things with us. And so she was like, I think I can do this. And so she really wanted to. And then literally he was buckling her dad was buckling her into her seat, and she just looked at him and said, I can't do this. And so he took her off. So she didn't end up riding. And so I think that this next trip that we go on, I think she will ride with us, but she just wasn't quite ready yet.
And so she was like 6 at the time, maybe.
Yeah. So
I was like 25 when I wouldn't ride this ride. So I completely understood.
So yeah. So no, you can tell the difference between somebody being a little nervous and somebody being terrified. Like you can tell the difference. And so
I just have some bad memories when I was young, watching other people ride rides that I was scared of. And then I get, to 30 and I try these things. I'm like, what was I thinking? This is so cool. Okay. I think I know we're out of stories. We're out of pictures.
Oh, we're never out of stories, but we are out of pictures for this episode. We're out of pictures.
And I think that's all we have. Anything else you want to tell people? Do you have any announcements?
We're excited that we're getting back to normal. Lewis is doing really well. I'm slowly improving, and so we are getting well enough to get back to doing some of the things that we love to do. And one of the things that we love to do is this. And so we're excited. We're doing more episodes, and I'm excited to get involved in Twitter more again. And I feel like I'm writing some blogs for our blog. And so we're getting back into a routine, and we're excited about that. It's taken us a little bit of time to do that, but we're really excited about our upcoming trip that's happening this August. And so we'll have some new pictures and new stories. And so we're just really excited. We will, follow us on Twitter to kind of get an idea of when we're going to be places. We're going to try to do some live stories on Instagram and do some different things while we're there. So we hope we can provide some content for you that you'll find interesting.
We'd love to say hi. I have a new GoPro Hero 9 camera that I'll be giving much better videos on. Well, so maybe you can be on the show, or there'll be figments you can add to. I definitely hope to get some ride video to add a little more video to the show in the upcoming years. I got a lot of video we've taken over the years, and so much of it is just complete garbage. Shaky. It's like, is it really this bad? But this camera does flatten it out, so the rides look kind of boring in some respects. I'm hoping to do an episode of my own on testing out the camera and showing you the stuff it can do, and then another one when I'm at Disney, and take as many videos on the rides as I possibly can. Teacups videos are the best because they can actually make you dizzy without even riding the ride. So, well, until next time, I'm Lewis, and she's not Lewis. She's over here. She's Val, and we'll see you later.
Bye, friends.